Welcome back. We're thrilled to be joined by the Santa Fe Independent Film Festival's operations manager, Stephanie Love. And she's going to tell us all about what a great festival it was this past October, what she's got coming up for 2022. We've just announced our grant recipients for the Santa Fe Film Institute grant. So, Stephanie Love, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jacques.
Now, first, let's just kind of jump in and talk about the fest. I do want to ask you a little bit of background about yourself at one point, but first of all, congratulations on such a successful 2021 Santa Fe Independent Film Festival. I know you had Oliver Stone here. You had a slate of films that was world class and gave Santa Feans such an opportunity to really experience these movies before they would have a chance to see them theatrically. And also, congratulations on your upcoming nuptials.
Thank you so much.
Now, can you tell us a couple of highlights or some fun things that happened to you this last year? I know it was one where we weren't sure exactly what was going to happen, but we really did want to return in person, and then we were able to. Plus, some very big gets for opening night, and more than 68 filmmakers traveling here from out of town.
Absolutely. So the festival opened with Bergman Island. It was a smash hit opening night, sold out screening. We did have slightly lessened capacities at our theaters, which made for a ton of sold out screenings. Our closing night, all of our centerpiece films. We had A Hero, which actually won our audience choice for Best Feature at this year's Santa Fe Independent Film Festival. Spencer was our closing night with Kristen Stewart starring. That's the new film by Pablo Larraín that is about Princess
Lady
Diana,
Di,
sorry.
yeah, Lady
Yeah,
Di.
Lady Di. Let's see, we also had Night Raiders, directed by Danny Goulet. That was a big film for our Indigenous film program this year.
Was that a North
And
American premiere?
it was a US premiere because actually Danny Goulet won an award at the Toronto Film Fest for that film.
Thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds amazing, and it was amazing. I was there, and we'll talk more about the Indigenous film program at the festival maybe in the next segment. And let's see, were there any cool friends that you made along the way? Any filmmakers that traveled here that you were especially excited to meet? Did you get to meet Oliver Stone?
Yeah, I got to meet Oliver Stone and attend the Lifetime Achievement Award that we presented to him at the Lensic, followed by a screening of The Doors, which was the 30th anniversary screening of that film with also moderated discussion with Kirk Ellis. So that was really neat to see Kirk and Oliver in the same room, sort of having a writer-director conversation there. And, it was great. I got to meet Jessie Anthony. She drove all the way down from Vancouver. She was with her film Brother, I Cry. It was really great to meet her and her team. And a lot of really wonderful short and feature filmmakers. It was a huge hub for filmmakers this year.
That is so cool. And yeah, I think you just really took a lead role in making everything go smoothly and putting together such a large festival. And I was just so impressed with the speech you gave on opening night and so many other things. How long have you worked at the festival?
This was my fourth festival. So I started right in 2018, right before the film fest in October. So this is my fourth fest and my fourth year coming up.
That's amazing. And just thank you deeply. I know you and I have become great friends over the course of this. And one of the highlights of my day often is to come into the office and you and I get to talk about the latest news on Twitter or in the paper or talk about the latest movie gossip. So let's maybe tell the audience a little bit about where you come from, because you, like many people with the fest who were born and raised in Santa Fe or had grown up here, you're from Michigan, is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, so I guess I lived in Michigan starting in 1999. So it was the year I turned 9, we moved back, but my parents are from there originally. And I went to Oakland University and the University of Michigan before moving to Santa Fe in 2013. And this is my 8th year here now in Santa Fe. And have to say, I kind of love it.
Yeah, I think you've really found a place for yourself here where it's not been the most usual thing for a millennial to work in the arts in the city and then be getting married and planning a life here. So I commend you for that because it can be the kind of city that chews people up and spits them out. And I think you're uh, just really wanting to live here, I think says a lot about who you are and that you took this chance and then you fell in love at some point. And is that right?
Yeah, so it's sort of funny. My fiance is originally also from Michigan, and he grew up in Frankenmuth, and I grew up in Traverse City. And he, at some point, in high school, had moved to Minnesota, and so he was coming from his area to Santa Fe a couple years before me, and then I was in Santa Fe as well, and we were at a mutual friend's house playing poker, and that's how we met.
I love that. Um, what kind of poker? Like, what were the stakes?
Texas Hold'em $5 buy-in. I'm a big risk taker.
Yeah, the very big money cash game there. God, that is such a lovely story. And I've met Ryan. I think he's just about the greatest guy. What a mensch, what a gentleman. Now, you've really joined this team in a big way. Have you enjoyed working with Liesette Bailey and Jenna Brazil and some of the other people that work at the fest? I know you were excited to meet Gary Farmer.
Absolutely. It's been great joining a team and sort of finding my place among the host of creative and organizational and administrative talents. I mean, we really just have a wide variety of skills, between working with Jenna, who's now over at Meow Wolf, working with Liesette, who's producing this radio show, and then also having her own sort of life journey with Nico, her son. It's been really, really interesting to see sort of how everyone is growing and moving in their own directions while also benefiting from being able to work in film.
And so I guess then my next question is, who is Gilberto?
So Gilberto is my rescue dog. I happened to see his photograph on the Santa Fe Animal Shelter's website, and he had one ear up and one ear down, and I was immediately charmed. And I went over to meet him. The shelter, he actually had a pretty sad story. The shelter had a really long medical rap sheet for him. It was like a full binder almost when I met him. And he had been brought in, he had a bunch of surgeries, and he was like 8 years old, and someone had just found him out in the desert. And before you know it, they had fixed him up. And I thought to myself, well, even if he has a bunch of health issues, this little guy, when I met him, he was actually in like one of the back buildings at the shelter. He wasn't really in the main area for the pets that were being considered for adoption, but I asked about him, and they walked him into the building, into this little room for me to meet him. And he came carrying a little lion plush toy in his mouth. He was carrying this toy to greet whoever with this toy. And I was just immediately charmed by him. And so he's my little rescue dog.
It sounds like it was love at first sight.
It really was. It really was. I actually was grabbing dinner the other night with Liesette and Jenna and Blake with the Film Fest. And apparently Gilberto was crying for me after dinner because I didn't come home at the normal time.
Now, was that a fun dinner?
It was amazing. It was great to catch up with all the ladies and discuss sort of what we can do next year and what the successes were of this past year's fest, and just really get the ball rolling as far as the 14th annual SFiFF goes.
And that was a dinner with Lisette Bailey, our executive director, and Blake Lewis. She's the box office manager. And we'll be right back. We're talking with Stephanie Love, the operations manager of the Santa Fe Independent Film Festival.